Amazing moment revealed, Waitress surprised a billionaire with incredible Arabic response within. Samira stood in the dish-sud back of the diner, steam rising from the dishwater and enveloping her like an old, familiar blanket. The faint sounds of clattering silverware and laughter from the front sent her mind spiraling into a world of dreams she felt was miles away. She scrubbed a chipped plate, recalling her father's stories of ancient cities dressed in the colors of sunset, the rich tones of Arabic spilling from his lips weaving history and hope. Yet here she was, isolated among greasy pans and relentless customer demands, trapped by her obligations to the man who sacrificed so much for his family. An anthropology degree felt like an unreachable comet in the night sky, and with every passing moment, the fear of never grasping it tightened around her chest. As she prepared to return to the dining area, the soft ding of the doorbell alerted her to a new customer. She hesitated, fighting the insistent nag at the back of her mind that whispered she was nothing but a waitress the way the world liked to see her. But when she turned to see him, a man dressed in faded jeans and an unassuming cap, the air shifted. Nathaniel exuded a warmth that felt oddly misplaced among the usual crowd of polished suits and ostentatious displays. Their first exchange was simple, but something flickered between them, an unspoken curiosity met with laughter that felt effortless. "Is the coffee always this strong?" he joked, drawing a laugh from her that felt uncharacteristically free. Beneath that disarming exterior, Samira sensed a depth waiting to unfold. Would he understand her dreams? Would he see past the surface and know the weight of her burdens? But just as she dared to entertain such thoughts, a rude customer broke the spell, his voice a harsh bark as he derided her accent, tearing through the diner's comfort like shattered glass. Samira's heart raced, each mocking word gnawing at her dignity. The clamor fell silent, the laughter stifled, the room thick with an unwelcoming tension. And in that moment, her instinct to stand tall surged forth, two worlds colliding as she drew upon her father's lessons. "You're so comfortable belittling someone who speaks more than one language, ever think your heart's just as poor?" Samira's voice rang out, powerful and commanding, as she slipped effortlessly into fluent Arabic, formidable strength surging with every syllable. Stunned silence engulfed the diner, even Nathaniel's eyes widened, filled with respect and unforeseen admiration. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Yet, in the fragile aftermath of her courageous stand, doubt seeped in. What would Nathaniel think? Would he see her as just a waitress, caught in her own melodrama? As the laughter resumed and the plates were once again filled, Samira's mind wrestled with an insistent question: was this connection with Nathaniel worth exploring, or would his hidden world ultimately sideline hers? Her pulse quickened, balancing anguish with hope as she gauged the depths of his gaze, searching for signs of sincerity between their vastly different realities. But Nathaniel too felt the weight of her words, his formidable identity as a billionaire crumbling against the resolute spirit she embodied. The space between them stretched like an unseen chasm, tangled in hesitated trust. As they locked eyes, the intensity pulsed with promise and dread. Neither knew how to cross the boundaries set by society, nor the uncertain paths that lay ahead. Would they find a way to align their stories, or remain shackled by the impossibilities lurking just beyond their reach? The diner buzzed back to life, but Samira's heart raced with questions she couldn't yet articulate. Nathaniel seemed to linger in her mind, a fleeting thought not unlike the steam escaping from the kitchen, both enticing and intangible. She moved through the hasty rhythm of shifting trays and ordering guests, unable to shake how her voice had woven a strong thread into the very fabric of her day. It wasn't just the applause of the diners that fueled her, it was the echo of her own resolve being fortified in front of Nathaniel's appreciative gaze. Yet fear slithered into her thoughts. Would that moment become just another fleeting glow in a world dominated by shadows? She flicked a glance towards Nathaniel, whose eyes were still searching hers as he deliberated over his meal. She wondered if he could see beyond her apron and smudged hands to the brilliance she clung to in the confines of her mind, the degree she yearned for, the life she imagined beyond the diner. For years, she masked her intelligence beneath the surface gloss of her job, but today, some thread of her soul had dared to break free. The leftover remnants of the encounter danced at the forefront of her thoughts as Samira unloaded clean dishes, the weight of responsibility pulling her down. The diner felt smaller, the greasy tiles felt harsher under her feet. Would one moment of defiance shift her path, or would it dissolve, leaving her back where she started? Her fingers grazed the cool metal of an empty coffee pot, grounding her thoughts. It was time for change. Once her shift ended, she took a deep breath and approached Nathaniel's table, where he was still seated, casually flipping through a book. In that moment, a resolve surged within her, empowering her to make a deliberate choice. "You're not done with me yet, are you?" Samira teased, her voice imbued with a newfound confidence that startled even her. Nathaniel looked up, a genuine smile breaking across his face. "I was hoping for a proper introduction. Your fervor in defending your identity was striking." The compliment hung between them, shimmering with possibility. "Samira," she offered, standing a little straighter, as if announcing a declaration of courage. Nathaniel nodded, a flicker of understanding passing through his blue eyes. "Samira. Beautiful name. I'm Nathaniel." Feelings of trepidation merged with excitement as they launched into conversation, dissecting books and passions hidden beneath their roles. With each word, the gulf of their worlds began to close, inch by inch, weaving threads of empathy and understanding. They both sought connection, each layer revealed a vulnerability, exposing dreams and ambitions that had long been tamped down by circumstance. But as the intimacy of their dialogue deepened, an unease lurked just beyond the horizon of illumination. It was easy to contemplate the warmth of their newfound connection, but she couldn't ignore the shadows of their undeniable differences. Over the next few days, thoughts spilled over into her nights, making sleep elusive. Samira began to take conscious steps towards her ambitions, poring over her old anthropology textbooks at home, rekindling the fire of curiosity that first had ignited in the lecture halls. This rekindled passion ignited a fierce determination to not only self-educate but also to chase opportunities. Yet while she sought growth, the unease with Nathaniel's world remained. One evening, as she prepared for another shift at the diner, her phone buzzed with a notification and invitation to a formal charity event hosted by Nathaniel. A rush of adrenaline shot through her, but it was quickly accompanied by nausea at the thought of stepping into a realm she knew nothing about. Did she dare enter his world, embracing the possibilities it held, or would she remain clinging to the comfort of her own? The answer ignited a fierce battle within her. Could she break free from the constraints of her current life, bridging the disparity of their lives while staying true to her roots? As she steeled herself for the evening rush, the question hung thick in the air. What awaited her on the other side of that invitation? The moment of truth loomed ahead, and with it, an opportunity to decide the course of her expanding world. As the evening of the charity event approached, Samira's mind buzzed with possibilities and trepidations, a cacophony of thoughts merging into an overwhelming sense of restlessness. The stark contrast between her life in the diner, a realm where she felt rooted yet confined, and Nathaniel's world of undeniable elegance and high expectations sat heavy on her shoulders. Standing in front of her mirror, she scrutinized her reflection, the light from the overhead bulb casting a warm glow across her face. She wore a modest black dress she had borrowed from a friend, an outfit that felt foreign, yet somehow appropriate. It clung to her curves, an odd reminder of the person she was expected to be this evening, as if fabric might mask her uncertainties. Would it be enough to shield her from the prying eyes of a world she barely understood? As Samira gathered herself to leave, her thoughts spiraled around the invitation clutched tightly in her hand. It symbolized more than an evening out, it was a doorway, beckoning her to cross into territory she had only ever observed from afar. She had spent so many years blending into the background of her ordinary life, but now stood on the precipice of redefining herself. The taxi ride was filled with a tense energy, each bump in the road pushing her to confront her thoughts. She imagined Nathaniel's face, its familiarity now embedded with warmth but still compounded by a sense of disparity. Letting go of the fear that threatened to ensnare her, she focused on why she had come tonight, to embrace the very potential she felt stirring within her. Upon arriving at the venue, she could see the architecture sparkle under dusk's fading light, an amalgamation of sophistication and opulence. Unnerved, Samira stepped through the doors, her pulse quickening as she entered the grand hall, where guests adorned in lavish attire mingled against a backdrop of soft music and clinking glasses. The allure was intoxicating, but it clashed with her instinct to retreat, to remain in her comforting obscurity. Then she spotted Nathaniel, dressed sharply in tailored attire, standing amidst a group of sophisticated figures, laughter spilling from him effortlessly. He seemed to exude confidence, drawing others into his orbit. Her heart raced, a mixture of excitement and apprehension flooded her senses. What would he expect of her at this event? Could she even hope to fit into this polished environment? As she approached, the sound of her heels clicked against the marble floor, each step a conscious declaration of her choice to embrace this moment. When his eyes met hers, they sparkled with recognition. "Samira. You made it." "Thanks for having me," she said, her voice more commanding than she felt, sharpened by adrenaline. As they spoke, she noticed how he seemed to lean in, intently listening, as though she were more than just another face in the crowd. Before long, conversation flowed. Samira discussed her recent readings, her fervent interest in anthropology igniting a spark that connected the two. Each word felt like a stitch in a fabric being woven between them, knitting their disparate worlds into something stronger. Yet, with each passing moment, she noticed lingering glances from the other attendees. Curiosity and judgment danced behind their polite smiles. Doubt seeped into her resolve. Did she really belong here? Nathaniel's presence draped warmth over her, yet an unsettling thought gnawed at her core. Was she just a diversion from their affluent realities? Would they perceive her as a mere waitress encroaching on their sterile enclave? Just as hesitation began to sink its fangs into her courage, Nathaniel turned the conversation toward her. "Tell me about your perspective on culture. It seems like you have profound insights to share." His voice was steady and sincere, an anchor amidst her mounting anxiety. What he didn't know was that beneath her calm exterior lay a tempest of unspoken thoughts, simmering between modesty and an urgent desire to reveal her true self, to showcase the depth of her unfulfilled ambitions. Did she dare to articulate her dreams, to let them mingle with these self-assured elites? The bustle of the event dimmed as a surge of determination pulsed within her. She inhaled deeply, recalling the verge from which she had stepped tonight. This was her chance not merely to be an observer but to claim a space for her own narrative among those who seemed to have already written theirs. Her heart raced with a new urgency as the moment crystallized before her. The mingling voices and laughter that had once felt alien now blended into a complex tune of empowerment. Ready to confront her self-doubt, Samira decided she would not merely exist as an uninvited guest in Nathaniel's world. Her journey of transformation was underway. But would the truths she revealed solidify her place here, or would they plunge her into deeper uncertainty? With determination brewing at her core, she prepared to share not only her thoughts but the dreams that had lain dormant for far too long, ready to confront whatever awaited on the other side of her own awakening. She felt the revelation bubbling up within her, eager for a chance to finally take a stand. The moment of truth pressed forward, and as Samira took the plunge to speak, she knew her life was about to shift once again. How would her words resonate in this unfamiliar territory? As she opened her mouth to speak, Samira felt the air thicken with the weight of her unspoken aspirations. The cacophony around her faded, and all she saw was Nathaniel's encouraging nod, a beacon urging her to step forth. "I've always believed that culture is the essence of identity," she began, her voice gaining strength with each word. "It shapes how we connect, how we perceive one another, and the narratives we build around our lives." A gentle swell of reassurance surged within her as she articulated thoughts that had long simmered beneath the surface. "Growing up, I saw how food, tradition, and language knitted my community together, even when external forces tried to unravel it. She hesitated for a moment, gauging the reactions of those listening. Their gazes flickered with interest, the judgment she dreaded momentarily thawed by curiosity. Encouraged, Samira delved deeper, recounting stories that highlighted the resilience and richness of her heritage. The dichotomy she felt the waitress and the scholar began to blur as the passion for her narrative emerged, breathing life into her words. As she spoke, Nathaniel's eyes sparkled with admiration, yet she could feel others' scrutiny deepening, like shadows cast by flickering candlelight. Would the essence of her identity become the bridge that connected them, or merely a reminder of her perceived inadequacy? "Tell us more, Samira," came a voice from the crowd. It was a well-dressed woman who had remained aloof until now, her arms crossed. "What makes your culture so unique?" A subtle challenge lurked beneath her inquiry, but Samira seized the opportunity, buoyed by the momentum she had created. "It's in the way stories are passed down. In my family, we gather to share not only food but experiences, anchoring lessons and values in the tapestry of our lives." The words flowed freely now, a current of conviction ushering her forward. Despite her elation, Samira couldn't shake the doubt weighing on her. Was her narrative too foreign for this audience? Would they honor her perspective or dismiss it as mere sentimentality? The stakes were rising with each moment, the warmth of Nathaniel's support countered by the chill of her lingering insecurities. But Samira had ignited something within herself, a fierce advocacy for her identity. Each dish has a story, each recipe passed down through generations signifies survival and joy. This is not just culture, it's the blueprint of resilience. Her heart raced, not from fear but from the exhilaration of authenticity. At that instant, something shifted. Samira caught sight of hopeful expressions, a glimpse of respect breaking free from the confines of their socio-economic assumptions. An intriguing part of her realized that the pretense of the soiree had begun to dissolve. Nathaniel leaned closer. "It's inspiring, watching you bring these narratives to life." His voice was low but charged with enthusiasm. With each syllable, he bolstered her confidence, anchoring her as she navigated this uncharted territory. In that moment, she understood that her journey could empower others. As she finished her story, applause rippled through the room. Samira beamed, a bright, genuine smile radiating from the depths of her being. She felt like an artist unearthing a masterpiece from a raw canvas, and satisfaction churned in her gut, intermingled with an intoxicating thrill. Yet, even amidst her triumph, she sensed a prickle of tension. The woman who had questioned her earlier eyed her with skepticism, clearly unsettled. It was not mere disbelief, there was envy, a challenge brewing below her polite facade. The woman's presence echoed the fear of facing adversaries in unfamiliar settings, those who might seek to diminish her newfound confidence. Resoluteness surged once more as Samira recalled her life thus far. This was not simply about fitting in among the elite or affirming her worth in a glittering room, it was about carving her identity across daunting divides. The time had come to confront the baseless judgments and insecurities that had fostered her. Hesitations. As the applause faded and the laughter resumed, Samira's resolve solidified, reminding her that she had traversed a long way from the diner into this gleaming sphere. Her journey was just beginning, not simply about acceptance, but audacious growth. "What's next for you?" Nathaniel asked, his curiosity genuine, eyes glinting with interest. That very question ignited a flicker of excitement in Samira's chest. She could envision pathways ahead, opportunities to refine her skills, to nurture her voice and ensure it reverberated in spaces where it would count the most. But now she faced another crossroads. Should she delve deeper into this world, fighting to carve her niche, or would fear hinder her ascent? In the back of her mind, the woman's skeptical gaze loomed, a specter of the struggles that lay ahead. As uncertainty tangled with ambition, Samira realized the next steps required more than courageous words, it demanded strategic action. She couldn't delay confronting the hidden barriers ahead. Her heart pounded with renewed vigor, and as she locked eyes with Nathaniel, a pact formed silently between them, a commitment to foster her journey together. The evening lingered in the air, poised elegantly at the cusp of possibility. How would she navigate the challenges ahead, especially in the face of opposition? The moment of her true transformation loomed perilously close. The evening transitioned into a more intimate gathering atmosphere as Samira stepped away from the spotlight, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of her performance. Surrounded by clusters of guests engaging in animated conversations, she fought the urge to retreat to the periphery. Instead, she focused on consolidating her recent triumphs into actionable plans. What if I could organize a series of cultural discussions? She mused internally, the idea blooming in her mind like a vibrant flower seeking sunlight. Each conversation could highlight specific aspects of her heritage: food, art, language, transforming her narrative into a platform for learning and exploration. Nathaniel approached her, sensing her charged enthusiasm. You seem to captivate everyone tonight. Have you thought more about what you want to do next? She nodded, feeling the urge to articulate her thoughts. I want to create spaces where my culture can be understood. I've spent too long feeling like I have to compromise there's richness to my experiences that deserves to be shared, not diminished. The urgency of her words contained an undeniable fire, ignited by the respect she had just earned. Consider hosting pop-up events, Nathaniel suggested, enthusiasm infusing his tone. Your background in hospitality could mirror your culture beautifully. Let people experience it through practical engagement: food, storytelling, art. The suggestions echoed with clarity, touching a chord deep within her. The notion of merging her professional background with her cultural passion felt empowered and purposeful. Yet, as the warmth of excitement flooded her, a wave of doubt surged alongside it. What if the same skepticism she sensed tonight resurfaced in her endeavors? Determined to stoke the flames of her ambition, she took a deep breath. I think I want to reach out to local community centers, possibly collaborate with artists and chefs who share my vision. Collaborating is great, but you'll have to assert your leadership too. People are more likely to rally around you if you present a clear vision, he encouraged, subtly broaching the gap she still felt between the typical societal expectations and her unique voice. Yes, I could lay out a proposal, maybe even leverage social media to increase visibility, she added, her thoughts spiraling forward. This newfound clarity and commitment resonated deeply, aligning her desires with a tangible pathway. But there remained the unsettling prick of the woman's judgment. The skeptical gaze that had cast doubt on her presentation nudged at her consciousness. What if I'm not enough? She mumbled, the question slipping past her lips before she could halt it. The irony of her questioning echoed painfully in her mind. It's one thing to share personal stories, it's another to lead a public dialogue. Nathaniel's steady eyes bore into hers, amplifying the weight of her self-doubt. But that's part of growth, isn't it? It's okay to feel uncertain. This moment of honesty struck a chord. Vulnerability was a necessary aspect of authenticity. Leadership did not equate to perfection. The realization washed over her like a transformative epiphany. Her willingness to step forward, even with uncertainty, could resonate with others. With a new resolve, Samira flipped her gaze across the room, noting the diverse faces laughing, engaging, connecting. I won't hide anymore. I won't let one critical voice hold me back, she decided, marking this as a pivotal point. But in the shadows of that new commitment lingered trepidation. The social landscape was uncharted, rife with potential pitfalls and dire perceptions. What will happen when I step into this role? Will I be able to handle the scrutiny? The weight of the question settled heavily on her chest. As she contemplated the women and men who would observe her journey, she felt the pulse of anticipation flip through her veins. Samira turned back to Nathaniel, who was watching expectantly. Are you ready to support me through this? She asked, a hint of vulnerability tightening her throat. The answer mattered far more than she anticipated. Absolutely. You're on the brink of something extraordinary, he replied, the sincerity in his words grounding her ambitions. But even as she felt buoyed by the moment, the uncertainty loomed just beyond the horizon. What would it truly take to break through the barriers that sought to contain her? Drawing in a fortifying breath, Samira sensed a turning tide within herself, a profound metamorphosis beginning to unfurl. The fear of judgment was still palpable, yet it began to feel like a challenge rather than an end. As she looked beyond the facade of societal expectation, the full weight of what lay ahead gripped her with thrilling terror. With each step she prepared to take towards forging her cultural narrative, a burning question crystallized in her mind. A crossroads emerged, one that forced her to confront hidden fears while stepping into the light. Could she pursue her aspirations without succumbing to the shadows of doubt? The moment bore an urgency that demanded she push through and find out. Samira awoke the next morning with a newfound sense of purpose igniting her ambition. The uncertainty that had kept her tethered to the confines of her comfort zone now stood as the ultimate adversary that she longed to confront. She gazed at her reflection, the morning light accentuating the determination in her eyes. Today would not merely be another day, it was the beginning of something daringly transformative. Sitting at her kitchen counter, a cup of coffee steaming beside her, she dove into research. She scoured the internet for examples of successful cultural events that merged food, art, and dialogue. As she compiled lists of artists and chefs who could resonate with her vision, a sense of momentum surged within her. Each name that sparked potential collaborations felt like another brick being laid in the foundation of her aspirations. However, as excitement boiled over, a familiar wave of doubt giggled mischievously on the periphery. What if no one wanted to engage with her ideas? What if the people she reached out to rejected her? She pushed the thought aside, reminding herself that growth often bore the weight of insecurity. That evening, she sat with a notebook, constructing the outline for a proposal that would succinctly convey her vision. The challenge of encapsulating her cultural heritage and professional expertise into a cohesive pitch felt daunting, yet exhilarating. She described the experience she aimed to create, a rich tapestry woven from storytelling and culinary delights. Hours slipped by as she lost herself in strategy. Every sentence she penned was a small victory over her internal doubt. Yet, there remained a gnawing concern: would she be able to sell her vision in an unfamiliar world? She suddenly found herself reliving last night's skepticism, the sting from the woman's judgment echoing like an incessant drumbeat. The shadows of her doubt pushed her to take action rather than retreat into fear. That's when she made a decision: she would volunteer at a local art exhibit, not merely to observe but to immerse herself and start networking. She contacted Nathaniel to share her plan, excitement lacing her voice. "I think getting involved actively will ground me, and if I can connect with artists and attendees there, it could spark more ideas." Nathaniel's enthusiasm was palpable over the phone. "That's brilliant. Networking naturally lets you explore without the pressure. Plus, you'll have a platform to showcase your vision casually." After their conversation, Samira felt empowered. Action would fuel her growth, nudging her closer to the goal. But as the exhibit day approached, doubt returned in tandem with excitement. Was it too soon? Would she come off as out of place? Walking into the gallery, she felt a twinge of nerves blossom in her stomach. The art surrounding her sang stories louder than her inner voice, demanding she acknowledge each piece with respect and curiosity. Among clusters of guests sharing their passions, Samira honed in on moments that whispered encouragement. Engaging with a group clustered around a vibrant painting, she offered her insights, weaving cultural narratives into their dialogue. The heat of trepidation dissipated as she embraced her authenticity, her heart beating steadily against the cacophony of voices. Yet, a sharp realization struck as an artist named Elise responded to her perspective with skepticism. While it's commendable, cultural representation isn't just about sharing stories. Authenticity is about lived experiences, and can you truly say you have that? The question hung in the air, taunting and provocative. Samira's breath hitched, uncertainty crashing against her newfound boldness. Was her pursuit of cultural expression a naive ambition? Did she belong in the very narrative she wanted to lead? A flicker of resistance ignited within her. She refused to let a moment of doubt claw back her momentum. "I may not have lived every aspect, but it is my desire to learn and grow through these conversations. Isn't that what cultural engagement is about?" Elise's eyes. narrowed, sizing Samira up. The tension shifted, and with it came an unexpected challenge: would she be able to deflect future uncertainties and transform them into moments of authentic dialogue? As the exhibit unfolded, Samira felt a profound shift within her. Each exchange was an opportunity to uncover the depths of her commitment. She recognized that the journey to leadership was not a straight path but a labyrinth of exchanges, confrontations, and authentic engagement with self. Realizing that these moments of friction could sharpen her resolve made her hunger for more. How could she navigate these waters without losing herself? Glimpsing the next phase of her journey ahead, she felt the rush of anticipation for the conversations yet to come. The question loomed before her now: how could she translate individual skepticism into a collective understanding of her cultural narrative? The moment called for action, compelling her to search deeper into her intentions. The air buzzed with the aftershock of her confrontation, leaving Samira standing amidst a swirling crowd filled with vibrant discussions and dazzling artworks. The evening was an exhilarating whirlwind. Her doubt and determination danced a delicate tango under the dim lights of the gallery. Her heart raced as she recalled Elisa's words, still echoing in her mind. This was no longer about simply participating. It was a crucible of personal evolution. As conversations continued to unfurl, Samira's initial courage began to blend with a deeper awareness. Clarity started to seep into her thoughts. She had spent so much time focused on showcasing her cultural narrative that she had neglected an essential piece of the puzzle: her personal story. Wasn't her journey of learning about her heritage in itself a lived experience? The real challenge lay in translating this understanding into a purposeful narrative that resonated with others. She sought out Nathaniel, weaving her way through the throng. When she found him, he was animatedly discussing a striking sculpture. Samira felt a sense of comfort discussing her thoughts with him. Elise brought up a fair point. I have been so focused on integrating different perspectives, yet I haven't considered how my own growth informs my narrative. Nathaniel nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. Your journey matters, Samira. You're mapping your cultural identity as you connect with others. Each conversation, every insight, it's all part of your lived experience. His words served as fuel for her burgeoning confidence, reigniting the fire within. It was time to delve deeper, to unmask the layers of her identity, and channel this authenticity into her vision. She envisioned creating avenues for dialogue woven into culinary experiences, a communal exchange that would foster understanding. Here lay an opportunity to design a space not merely to share food or art, but to cultivate mutual respect and appreciation through shared stories of heritage. With renewed purpose, she excused herself from Nathaniel and approached a small group huddled around a remarkable piece of art that showcased intricate, culturally infused designs. Gently inserting herself into this circle, she shared her experiences and ideas, focusing on how food could be a powerful conduit for cultural dialogue. The group leaned in, intrigued by her passionate discourse, nodding and contributing their perspectives. Yet, skepticism still lurked like an uninvited guest. As the conversations progressed, Samira felt the weight of doubt creep back in, unrelenting like a shadow refusing to leave. She caught a glimpse of Elise once more across the room, and their eyes briefly met. Elise's expression was inscrutable, leaving Samira questioning the legitimacy of her vision. Was she merely imposing her own identity onto a narrative she only partially understood? Frustrated with this cyclical questioning, Samira decided it was crucial to confront this doubt head-on. She approached Elise, her resolve edging toward a confrontation. I want to present this narrative authentically, but how do I ensure I'm not co-opting the experiences of others? How do I honor their stories while sharing my own? Elise's demeanor softened slightly, and Samira sensed a small shift in the atmosphere. It's about layers, she finally replied. You can share your story, but tread carefully. Reflect on your privileges, and acknowledge what you still have to learn. Your growth matters, but so does the respect you extend to those whose experiences differ from yours. Samira felt the pulse of the conversation like an electric current. Here lay a pivotal moment. It wasn't just about her, it was about creating a platform where diverse voices could be heard and valued. As the gravity of her mission crystallized, so did her confidence in its authenticity. That night, she returned home imbued with new resolve. The bated breath in her chest buzzed electric, igniting a fervent determination to transform her idea into a reality. She crafted a plan to engage with different cultural communities, listen and learn, all while integrating their narratives into her framework. The following morning, her pen flew across the page as she meticulously strategized the next steps in her journey. Each word she wrote breathed life into her ambition, her aspirations sharpening with clarity. But as she delineated her plans, a complaint echoed from within: was she prepared to face the complexity of these stories, to navigate different perspectives without losing her voice? The thought hung heavily, a new question lingering in the final strokes of her outline: how would she confront those who might challenge her authenticity in this endeavor? Samira awoke the next morning to the sharp chirping of birds outside her window, a sound that usually signified the start of a new day. Today, however, it felt like the opening act of a more significant performance yet to unfold. She settled at her kitchen table, surrounded by sketches and notes that mapped out her journey. Yet, as she sipped her coffee, self-doubt wrapped around her mind like a dense fog. Each sip tasted bitter. She scrutinized her scattered ideas and began to question them once more. Was her intention to create a genuine dialogue, or was it veiled in an elaborate facade of cultural appreciation? In her pursuit of authenticity, had she overlooked the very essence of what it meant to weave her life with the stories of others? Determined to shake this feeling, she set her focus on engagement. Samira grabbed her phone, scrolling through her contacts until she found the number of a local chef known for his rich, cultural approach to food. Perhaps he could offer insight into creating that communal culinary experience she envisioned. "Hi, Malik," she said when he answered. "I've been thinking about a project that incorporates storytelling through food, and I'd love to discuss it with you." An enthusiastic voice on the other end agreed to meet. They scheduled a coffee at a nearby cafe adorned with art from various local artists, an ideal setting for inspiration. Upon her arrival, the scent of freshly brewed coffee heightened her senses, a rich contrast to the weight she felt earlier. Malik was already seated, his demeanor warm as he gestured for her to join him. After exchanging pleasantries, Samira dove into her ideas, describing her vision of blending culinary experiences with cultural narratives. As she spoke, Malik's eyes widened with curiosity. He leaned forward, eager to digest her words. "Storytelling is in food, Samira," he said, his tone earnest. "Every spice, every method is a story in itself. You need not solely focus on your journey, you could start by exploring others too. The conversations you create will be rich when everyone shares." His insights hit her like a splash of cold water, invigorating her resolve. It wasn't only about her narrative, it was about inviting others to participate, to express their experiences through culinary art. She found herself nurturing fresh ideas and connections. Yet, beneath this excitement lay a lingering fear: would they truly want to share their narratives, and would she be able to foster an atmosphere of respect while doing so? By the end of their conversation, Samira felt buoyed, yet apprehensive. She had tapped into a world of potential, but the looming thought of hurdles made her heart pound. How ready was she to navigate the conversations that could arise from the cultural nuances involved in her project? As they parted ways, Malik's parting words resonated deeply. "Always remember, honor the depth of the stories you're inviting in. Humility and a listening heart will serve you well." Back at her apartment, Samira wrestled with her fears. She felt as though she stood on the edge of a diving board ready to leap, but aware of the potential depths below. With determination, she began mapping out who she wanted to approach first: chefs, local artisans, cultural groups. But just as her strategic plan started taking shape, the shadow of self-doubt loomed again. What if they questioned her authority on their stories? What if they felt she was incapable of sharing their narratives authentically? That night, as she stared at the ceiling, an unexpected thought struck her. She realized that every experience, the confrontations, the conversations, the doubts were all threads of the same tapestry she was trying to weave. What if she allowed her vulnerabilities to speak alongside her aspirations? The complexity of her endeavor began crystallizing. She decided that it was time to embrace her fears, to confront potential objections head-on, armed with both her cultural perspective and a genuine willingness to learn from others. Samira finally lay down with renewed resolve, a question simmering amidst her thoughts: who would be the first voice she would seek to honor in this unfolding journey? As sleep began to pull her under, her heart raced, for she sensed that whatever lay ahead would require courage beyond what she had mustered thus far. In her dreams, a murmur echoed a reminder that each person she reached out to could equally challenge and guide her path. The next day would bring clarity, she hoped, but she also understood that each step taken would come with its own weight. The time had come to face her first encounter in this relational tapestry she yearned to create. Samira awoke to crisp sunlight pouring through her window, illuminating her sketches and notes scattered across the kitchen table like a battlefield of creativity. With steady hands, she pushed away the remnants of the morning's self-doubt. Today marked the genesis of her project, a bridge between cultures, woven through food and stories. She pulled out her phone, fingers hovering over the screen as she debated her first approach. Who would be the first voice she honored? Immediately, the name Rania jumped into her mind. Rania, a local baker known for her traditional pastries, had an inspiring backstory and a penchant for storytelling. Samira remembered their brief encounters, each filled with laughter and the shared joy of flavors. Perfect. Taking a deep breath, she dialed Rania's number. The chirpy ring filled the silence, and soon Rania's voice filled her ear, vibrant and welcoming. Samira proposed a meeting, and after a bit of playful negotiation, they settled on a cozy spot that Rania cherished for its aromatic coffee and warm ambience. As she walked to the cafe, the streets buzzed with activity and camaraderie. There was a rhythm to the day, an unspoken energy that permeated the air, and Samira felt a spark of determination igniting within her. Today, she would step beyond her fears and embrace the opportunity to learn from another's journey. When she entered the cafe, the familiar scent of baking pastries enveloped her. Samira spotted Rania at a corner table, her curly hair bouncing with enthusiasm as she gestured animatedly. The warmth of their exchange melted away any lingering tension in Samira's mind. They exchanged pleasantries, and as they settled into conversation, she felt the weight of expectations lifted. Rania, I want to create something meaningful, a project that weaves culinary art with stories. I want to honor the experiences behind the food, Samira explained, her voice laced with eagerness. Rania's face lit up, her eyes sparkling with potential. You're onto something beautiful, Samira. Food brings people together, but it's the stories that give it context. She leaned back thoughtfully, her fingers touching the edge of her coffee cup. What do you envision? Cookie recipes, or perhaps a deeper connection to the culture behind them? As Samira listened, an idea began to crystallize. I want to dive into both how traditions are born and reshaped through generations. Can we add layers, like the spices in your baklava? Rania nodded, her enthusiasm palpable. Absolutely. Every recipe carries a history, a memory of shared meals around the family table. We can start with my story, how I learned to bake from my grandmother, and the tales she told. Samira's heart raced, realizing the depth of the conversation evolving. Rania wasn't just sharing a recipe, she was inviting Samira into an intimate world where food was both nourishment and narrative. And once we start with your story, we can invite others to share theirs, too, Samira added, feeling an electrifying sense of collaboration spark between them. Just remember, Rania leaned in closer, her tone shifting to something more serious, stories can sometimes unlock painful memories. Are you prepared for the weight those memories might carry? The question struck Samira, piercing through her earlier buoyancy. Did she have the emotional bandwidth to handle the intricacies of others' pasts? The thought of confronting raw emotions and vulnerabilities churned in her stomach. Honestly, I'm scared, Samira admitted, her voice steady despite her apprehension. I worry that I won't do justice to their narratives or wish to tread lightly when uncovering painful histories. Rania studied her, a thoughtful gaze assessing both her concerns and her passion. "That vulnerability is a strength, Samira," she replied. "Stay humble, keep your heart open, and be prepared for moments that may challenge you. Being an advocate for someone else's history comes with responsibility." Samira felt the weight of Rania's words. They resonated within her, settling into her consciousness like the comforting aroma of fresh bread. It became clear that her journey was not solely about her aspirations but about nurturing the stories she hoped to collect. As they discussed the logistics of their budding collaboration, Samira felt invigorated. Ideas flowed easily between them, turning abstract thoughts into concrete plans. After they parted, a lingering question fledged in her mind: what did it truly mean to honor someone else's story? She thumbed through her notes, plotting the next phase of her exploration. Would she have the courage to confront the unpolished truth of what they chose to share? Just as doubt whispered in her ear, she glanced at her phone. Her heart leaped. Malik's message glowed on the screen, a reminder of their previous conversation. But it was more than a simple prompt, it was a nudge to embrace the complexities that lay ahead. Samira knew that the next connection would be just as pivotal, perhaps even more so. Would she be able to forge a real bond, one that transcended mere culture and climbed into the intimate realm of shared experience? With a mix of trepidation and excitement, Samira took her next step, ready to unfurl yet another thread of the tapestry she was weaving. She was on the verge of crafting something real, something profound. The time had come to reach out. Who would she call next, and how would their story intersect with her own evolving narrative? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Samira prepared herself for the next step in her journey, a leap into the unknown that felt exhilarating and terrifying all at once. With a heart brimming with anticipation, she carefully composed her message to Miriam, a community elder renowned for her wisdom and storytelling prowess. These connections were not mere additions to her project, they were integral threads to the narrative she sought to weave. "Hello Miriam," she began, her fingers shaking slightly as she typed. "I'm embarking on a project centered around cultural stories and heritage, and I would be honored to hear your perspective and experiences." Once sent, a wave of uncertainty washed over her. Could she truly navigate the depths of Miriam's lived experiences without faltering? What if her inexperience alienated voices that deserved to be honored? But rather than retreating into doubt, she took a deep breath and revisited her intentions. Her mission was rooted in curiosity and respect. If she approached this with the right spirit, it could become an enriching dialogue that bridged generational divides. The next morning, as she brewed her coffee, the phone chimed. Miriam had agreed to meet, and the overwhelming relief was instantly replaced by bubbling excitement. Samira spent the day plotting discussion points, eager to create a comfortable space for stories to unfold. At the meeting place, a quaint café adorned with vibrant murals, Miriam arrived, a radiant smile stretching across her wise features, her eyes twinkling with warmth. Their conversation began gingerly but soon transformed as Miriam shared her rich tapestry of experiences navigating her identity, her family's history, and the delicate intersections of tradition and modernity. "Food carries souls," Miriam said, enveloping Samira in the gravity of her words. "Each dish is an echo of where we come from, a reminder of our roots. To share it is to share a part of ourselves." As Miriam spoke, all doubts washed away. Here lay the authenticity Samira yearned for, cultivated through open and heartfelt discussion. Their dialogue blossomed, punctuated by laughter and poignant memories. Samira meticulously documented every detail, understanding that her role was not to shape these narratives but to nurture them into existence. As they wound down their meeting, Miriam's words echoed powerfully within Samira's core: "Honor the essence of experiences, and your voice shall resonate." Feeling invigorated, Samira returned home, her chest swelling with a sense of affirmation. One story transformed into another, and the complexities of these shared experiences started forming a rich dialogue. She grasped the contours of her project for the first time. It wasn't just about her voice, it was about amplifying others while still being a participant in the unfolding tapestry. The following weeks brought a flurry of connections and vibrant exchanges. Through phone calls, coffee dates, and culinary sessions, she built relationships with Rania, Malik, and Mariam, the intertwining of their backgrounds fueling her vision. Each encounter solidified her place within this world. She was no longer a mere waitress lost within a diner, she was a curator of voices, amplifying narratives that once felt hidden, silenced by circumstances. As momentum grew, so did her confidence. The expansive vision now took form with pop-up cultural dinners highlighting the stories behind each dish, guests gathering to partake in both dialogue and nourishment. But beneath this excitement simmered a critical moment of vulnerability. How would she navigate the inevitable criticism or encounters with individuals who questioned her authority on these stories? Reflecting on Mariam's guidance, Samira recognized that authenticity would tether her to this mission. It was permissible to be nervous, to acknowledge her journey intertwined with those she sought to represent, for each encounter had inextricably shaped her. With renewed courage, she crafted an outline for her first event, integrating all the insights, voices, and stories she'd gathered. On the evening of the first cultural dinner, she watched as guests filled the space, the air thick with the aroma of various traditional dishes, laughter bubbling in anticipation. Greeted by familiar faces and new acquaintances alike, she felt the electrifying pulse of life in her project. As they settled in, Samira found herself in front of the crowd, wheelchair-bound with Rania beside her, Mariam nodding in approval from the front row. Taking a deep breath, she began. Tonight, we embark on a journey, a tapestry of tales threaded together by food. Her voice held the weight of their collective stories as she detailed the experiences of each dish, inviting everyone to partake in their significance. And tonight, she added, emboldened, I encourage each of you to share your narratives. Each voice contributes to this tapestry. Let us honor not just ourselves but one another's journeys. As the night unfolded, an ebb and flow of exchange enveloped the room. Voices interlaced, laughter erupted, and poignant stories emerged. Hearts bared amidasting companionship. With each shared moment, Samira felt an authentic affirmation of her identity, a metamorphosis that encompassed pursuing her aspirations alongside honoring the experiences of others. As the evening came to a close, applause echoed in the air. Within it, Samira sensed a newfound recognition that transcended personal success. This was the cradle of change she had sought to embody, an accomplishment forged through collaborative dialogue. No longer burdened by her self-doubt, she had conquered the realm of comfort where fears often resided. Tonight, she had launched a vessel where stories lived, a canvas painted by vibrant, diverse voices, hers included, and in essence, she had achieved what once felt like an unreachable limit. With unwavering pride swelling in her heart, she understood the true call of her journey to create a space where everyone could come together in authentic connection, where cultures mingled and celebrated rather than being confined. Her past as a waitress was not a shackle, but a vital stepping stone that launched her into a future where she not only belonged but thrived. Closing the door behind her, Samira felt an exhilarating possibility radiating through her, a world bound only by her imagination and the voices she chose to honor. Now is the time to join this impactful journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it truly makes a difference. Comment with your reactions and theories about this incredible ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this remarkable conclusion. Show your support because true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of keeping this light alive.